What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about what the truth is. You see, in today's society, so many people put their truth in alcohol, drugs, porn, sex, all this stuff. And even me, before I became a Christian, I put my truth in what people thought about me, in girls, in games, specifically football, because I thought that was never going to let me down. And what I realized was there is a truth that doesn't make sense in the head, but it makes sense in your heart. And I wanted to read John 8 with you guys. It's probably my favorite passage in the whole Bible, and definitely my favorite verse is John 8:32, which we'll get there in a sec. But let's read John 8, verse 31 together. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples." So right there, if we abide in his word, we listen to his teachings, but we also apply it to our life. We live a holy life. We are his disciples, so we're his followers. Okay? And John 8:32, this is my favorite verse in the whole Bible. Ready? "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." So what's the truth? Jesus Christ. And what's the truth? Jesus Christ took on sin. He who knew no sin took on sin for the fact that he loved us so much. He knew you and I couldn't do it. So he decided to take on the punishment that you and I deserve for our sin, and that's death. But he defeated death 3 days later. And on that cross was the anxiety, depression, all that stuff that just, it makes us so far from God. He defeated it on the cross. And that's the truth. And the truth, when you know the truth will set you free. The reason why I believe my anxiety and my depression is gone is because I believe that it died 2,000 years ago on the cross. And when you put your faith in that, your problems as well, they're not going to go away, but Jesus is going to promise peace through the storm. And that's why the peace of God that surpasses all understanding in the mind, but it makes sense here. Verse 33, "Then answered him, 'We are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?'" So you see here, they're questioning Jesus here, saying they've never been a slave to anybody. But Jesus is about to make a really good point here that I think people in our generation really need to listen to. Verse 34, Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin." So us who practice sin, we're a slave to sin. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to go watch porn. I'm going to go drink alcohol. I'm going to go, do that to somebody. You're a slave to sin. We're all a slave to sin. You practice sin, you're a slave to sin, Jesus says. We choose to sin. Verse 35. "The slave does not remain in the house forever." So back in the time period, we all know slavery. And what he's saying is the slave is not going to remain in the house forever. That means you don't have to be stuck in your sin forever. The Son, he says, the Son remains forever. Jesus Christ remains forever. Not what you think feels right. But he says the Son remains forever. It means Jesus Christ, who is perfect, who is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, he remains forever. Not your sin, not you being slave to sin. Jesus Christ remains forever. Because he removed it on the cross. He took it on. And he defeated death 3 days later. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Guys, what is the point of this passage? We just read, if you know the truth will set you free. And they say, well, what's the truth? We're not slave to anything. But Jesus says, if you practice sin, you are a slave to sin. If you practice sin, if you actively rebel against God and you actively practice sin, you are a slave to sin. But he says the slave does not have to remain. The slave doesn't remain in the house forever. The same way, we don't have to be a slave to our sin forever. You keep your eyes on God, you're going to naturally not want to sin. You're going to hate your sin because you love Jesus. And then he says, so if the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed. So what am I getting at? Guys, Jesus Christ can give you this peace that makes no sense. We read in Philippians 4:7 that the peace of God surpasses all understanding in your head. but it makes sense in your heart. Because when you taste true love, and that's what love is. See, Jesus Christ set us free from ourselves because he knew we couldn't take on the punishment that he did. And they beat him, tortured him, but he was picturing you and me on the cross. Hebrews 12:2 says, we look to Jesus as the author and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Jesus was picturing you. He was picturing you. So I love you guys, man. This is such a powerful passage, and it's just such a powerful verse. And you actually believe that your problems died 2,000 years ago on the cross. You're not going to be a slave to that. You're not going to be a slave to the pornography. You're not going to be a slave to sin. If you just put your faith in that all that stuff died on the cross with Jesus, you'll be set free. Guys, I love you guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next episode.